But equally, the two most powerful and impressive speeches I have heard in years came on Thursday from two Conservative women, Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price and Senator Michaelia Cash. And it was during discussion on the acknowledgement of and welcome to country. Jacinta Price started hesitantly, but then grew in strength and passion as she spoke about her own deeply felt reservations about the entire fabricated First Nations welcome to country shibboleth. Here is just a part of what she said.
The issues that come from what we're talking about right now is the ideological way in which Indigenous Australians are objectified, and I mean in such a way that we are used as a political token for political point scoring. The idea of welcome to country has become exactly that. Senator Hanson is correct to say that welcome to country is not traditional culture. It isn't. And what we do need to recognise, and it's important for all of us as leaders of this nation to recognise, is the reinvention of culture which diminishes traditional culture. It diminishes it.
Clearly, Jacinta Price was not speaking from some pre-prepared talking points or notes. She was speaking from the heart. She then pointed out that in genuine traditional Indigenous cultures, acknowledgements are irrelevant.
The use of acknowledgements really does absolutely nothing to improve their lives, has done nothing to improve their lives. And to be quite honest, as a woman of Indigenous heritage, but first and foremost as an Australian, I am absolutely done with the virtue signalling that takes place. I am of the belief that it is not necessary to have an acknowledgement because we are all Australians. Every single one of us, including the Ngunnawal and the Ngambri, are Australians, and we are here to serve all Australians equally in this country.
Then Jacinta really got fired up, pointing out the hypocrisy of the left who romanticise and infantilise Australian Aborigines but deliberately choose to ignore the serious problems that exist within Indigenous communities because of, partly, traditional cultures.
More broadly, when it comes to this concept of acknowledgement of country and acknowledgement, First Nations isn't even an Australian terminology, for crying out loud. It's been adopted from Canada, from America. It's just reinvention that is actually belittling and watering down traditional culture and what it's really about. But we can ignore traditional culture in this chamber because there are elements of it every single one of you across from here ignore.
And then Jacinta brought it home.
If you speak up against it, if you mention it, you are painted as a racist or somebody who is a coconut or somebody who is a traitor. Imagine if we treated every single racial group in this manner in this country. It's horrendous. And it begins with the virtue signalling, the politicisation of a group of people in this country because of our racial heritage. And I'm sick to death of it. As a woman, as a mother, as soon to be a grandmother, and as an Australian of proud heritage, whether it's my convict ancestors or it's my Warlpiri ancestors, I'm proud of it all, and we should all be. We should all encourage that in Australia in 2025.
But that sort of genuine passion and lived experience was anathema to the ever so sanctimonious and arrogant Penny Wong, who I think is easily the most appalling female in our parliament. She wouldn't even mention Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price by name. So much for listening to Indigenous voices. Wong instead heaped praise on the Indigenous woman in her own party, the deeply unimpressive Malindiri McCarthy, proving, as if any more proof were ever needed, that Labor's entire Indigenous voice treaty Makarrata nonsense is only about one thing: Labor's desperate desire to divide and rule Australia.
And if you want to see what grace and respect look like, perhaps remember what Senator McCarthy said just a few moments ago.
And then came the most sensational speech of the week, if not of the year, as Senator Michaelia Cash, Jacinta Price's colleague, almost seething with rage, let rip against the fake pomposity and snide arrogance of Penny Wong. Wong had claimed that welcome to country was some kind of ancient noble tradition of the parliament that had to be respected. As Senator Cash pointed out, it used to be that parliament began with Christian prayers. So much for respecting tradition, Penny Wong. And then Michaelia Cash let rip.
When I first came to this place, it was prayers. It was not a welcome to country. But I can tell you, do not ever demean anybody. Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price. Her mother's story, best Price. I suggest you all read it. A woman walking through the desert was her mother, who had her baby between her legs under a tree. She picked up that baby, she cut the umbilical cord, and she kept walking. I suggest you read the story of Best Price before you ever come in here and cast aspersions or tell us, Senator Wong, to respect other words. I will stand by and respect Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price, who every day has lived and breathed reconciliation in this country. Her father is white, her mother is black. So please, don't ever come into this place again and pontificate to us like you've just done.
What a sensational speech and what a sensational day of honesty in our federal parliament. This is a parliament dominated by women, so it is hardly surprising that, in my opinion, the single worst person in our government is a woman, Penny Wong, and equally that the two brightest, sharpest and most passionate and impressive people in our parliament are also women, Michaelia Cash and Jacinta Nampijinpa Price. And what of the leader of the opposition, also a woman? It is 3 days since those two extraordinary speeches. I haven't heard any words of support. Maybe they were there, I don't know. I haven't heard any from Susan Lee. It is clear that Susan Lee, though, is more closely aligned to the politics and beliefs of Penny Wong and the Labor Party than to the smartest and most impressive members of her own party. It is nearly 3 months since the election and Susan Lee has not landed a glove on the government. Susan Lee must be replaced as leader of the Liberal Party immediately. This country is spiralling into full-blown socialism and there's not a moment to lose.